Hey everyone! Welcome back to my channel. Today we're diving into the world of spark plugs. These little guys might seem insignificant, but they play a crucial role in keeping your engine running smoothly. In this video, I'll be sharing some valuable tips on how to upgrade your spark plugs, from choosing the right ones to the actual installation process. Whether you're a seasoned mechanic or a DIY enthusiast, this video has something for you. So grab your tools and let's get started. Spark plugs are a critical component of your car's engine, and they play a vital role in the combustion process. Over time, spark plugs can wear out and become less effective, leading to a decrease in performance and fuel economy. In some cases, worn-out spark plugs can even cause your car to misfire or stall. That's why it's important to replace your spark plugs regularly, according to the manufacturer's recommended maintenance schedule. Most spark plugs need to be replaced every 30,000 to 60,000 miles, but some high-performance spark plugs can last longer. Not all spark plugs are created equal. When choosing new spark plugs for your car, it's important to select the correct type for your engine. There are several factors to consider, including the spark plug's heat range, electrode material, and gap size. The heat range of a spark plug refers to its ability to dissipate heat. A spark plug with a higher heat range will run hotter, while a spark plug with a lower heat range will run cooler. The correct heat range for your car will depend on the engine's operating temperature and the type of driving you do. The electrode material of a spark plug also affects its performance. Copper spark plugs are the most common type, but they wear out relatively quickly. Platinum and iridium spark plugs are more expensive, but they last longer and provide better performance. The gap size of a spark plug is the distance between the center electrode and the ground electrode. The correct gap size is critical for ensuring that the spark plug fires properly. If the gap is too small, the spark will be weak and the engine may misfire. If the gap is too large, the spark may not jump across the gap at all. Once you've chosen the right spark plugs for your car, it's important to install them correctly. This means using the correct torque wrench to tighten the spark plugs to the manufacturer's specifications. Over-tightening the spark plugs can damage the threads, while under-tightening them can cause the spark plugs to come loose. It's also important to make sure that the spark plug wires are connected to the correct spark plugs. If the wires are crossed, the engine will misfire. Even if you replace your spark plugs regularly, it's a good idea to inspect them periodically. This will help you identify any potential problems before they cause major damage. When inspecting your spark plugs, look for signs of wear, such as erosion of the electrodes or cracks in the porcelain insulator. If you see any signs of damage, replace the spark plugs immediately. If you're looking to improve the performance of your car, you may want to consider upgrading your spark plugs. High-performance spark plugs can provide a number of benefits, including increased horsepower, improved fuel economy, and reduced emissions. However, it's important to note that high-performance spark plugs are typically more expensive than standard spark plugs, and they may not be necessary for all drivers. If you're not sure whether you need high-performance spark plugs, talk to your mechanic. Upgrading your spark plugs is a relatively simple and inexpensive way to improve the performance of your car. By following the tips in this guide, you can choose the right spark plugs for your car and install them correctly. And by inspecting your spark plugs regularly, you can help prevent major problems down the road. Upgrading your spark plugs can give your engine a real boost. But to get the most out of them, you need to make sure they're firing strong. That means checking the gap between the electrodes. If it's too wide, the spark won't jump properly, and if it's too narrow, the spark will be weak. You can find the correct gap for your specific plugs in your owner's manual or online. Once you know the right gap, use a feeler gauge to check the gap on each plug. If it's off, you can carefully bend the electrode to adjust it. Just be careful not to bend it too much, or you could damage the plug. If you live in a cold climate, you know how hard it can be to start your car in the winter. Upgrading your spark plugs can help with that. Cold weather puts extra stress on your engine, so having strong, reliable sparks is even more important. Make sure you choose spark plugs that are designed for cold weather use. These plugs will have a higher heat range, which means they'll stay hotter and ignite the fuel more easily in cold temperatures. Spark plugs are a relatively inexpensive part, but if you neglect them, they can lead to much bigger and more expensive problems. A weak spark can cause your engine to misfire, which can damage your catalytic converter. In the worst-case scenario, a misfire can even cause your engine to seize up. By upgrading your spark plugs regularly, you can help prevent these problems and keep your engine running smoothly. Not all spark plugs are created equal. When you're upgrading, it's important to choose the right plugs for your specific car and driving style. There are a few things to consider, such as the type of engine you have, the fuel you use, and how you typically drive. You can find the recommended spark plugs for your car in your owner's manual or online. You can also talk to a mechanic or a parts specialist at your local auto parts store. They can help you choose the right plugs for your needs.